Hey, what's up? Welcome back. Patrick here from All Things Mathematics, and moving on to the next midterm question dealing with matrix algebra. So here we're told that if the inverse of this matrix ACBD is equal to this 5, 4, -2, and 3, we have to solve these system of equations right here. AX plus BY is equal to 11, and then CX plus DY is equal to -1. So just a little practice with matrix algebra. The algebra, it's not going to end up being too difficult. It's just understanding what's happening here and how to apply the information. So first off, notice that here, with this system of equations, we're trying to solve x and y, right? That's what they mean by solve. And so we can actually break this down to be the matrix A, B, C, D times the matrix x, y, like that. And that has to equal the constants 11 and -1. Right? So the rows of this first matrix times this column, you'll have AX plus BY has to equal 11. And then the second row, CX plus DY has to equal -1, right? So that's how we could change it. We could change this algebraic form for the system of equations to be in this matrix form. And then notice that this ABCD matrix, we're also dealing with it here. However, what we're given is the inverse of this matrix, right? This is the inverse of this matrix. It's not the actual matrix. And so basically what I'm going to do to show this algebra on a bit of a higher level first is I'm going to let this matrix here be M, okay? And then I'm going to let this matrix here that has the variables x and y that we're solving for, I'm just going to let it be x, like that. And then that's going to equal to this matrix here. Let's just, they're the constants, so I'm going to call it C, like that, matrix C. Now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to isolate for this matrix, right? So we're trying to isolate for this matrix X here. So how can we do that? Well, we got to bring this matrix C to the other side, okay? And how do we do that? Well, what we do is we multiply both sides by the inverse. And so what would happen is we would multiply this left side here by the inverse of M. And then what we do to one side, we got to do to the other. So we'd multiply this side by the inverse as well with this matrix C, with this constant matrix. And so what's going to happen here, we know that the inverse of a matrix times the original matrix is always, they're always going to cancel out. It's going to give us the identity matrix, right? And then basically the identity matrix times this variable matrix x, right? If we write that down, if we'll have like 1, 0, 0, 1, the identity matrix, which is the product of the inverse times the original matrix, times xy, well, that's just going to equal xy, right? We're just going to end up with the same 2 by 1 matrix. So the x now is going to be by itself, and it's equal to basically the inverse matrix C times this constant matrix C. Well, this inverse matrix C we already have, right? That's what we're given because we were told that the inverse of this matrix A, B, C, and D, or the inverse of M, is equal to that, right? Not the actual M matrix. And so all we have to do basically to get the solution at this point is basically take that inverse matrix C that they gave us, right? So 5, 4, -2, and 3, and multiply it by the constant matrix C, which is the 11 and -1. And so notice it's a 2 by 2 matrix multiplying by a 2 by 1. So our final result, the 2's cancel out here, we're going to end up with a 2 by 1, which is going to be the x and y values, right? And so what would happen is the 2 entries, so we would do what? The first row times the column. 5 times 11, 55, plus 2, right? Because negative, negative make a positive. that would give us, what, 57? And then we'll have 4 times 11, 44, minus 3. That's going to give us 41. And then that's basically equal to the x and y values. So x is equal to 57, y is equal to 41, like that. And that's pretty much it, right? That's the answer. So again, the algebra wasn't bad to get these x and y values. It's just kind of understanding what's given and then how to apply it, right? Because we were given the inverse, and then this A, B, C, and D matrix was the original matrix, but if we're trying to isolate for the x and y, if we're trying to solve for x and y, that's what they're asking us to do. We have to bring this over, multiply both sides by the inverse. So then the inverse, which we were given in the question, times the constant matrix gives us our x and y values. And that is the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you want to find more videos like this, you can go to my website, allthingsmathematics.com. Over there, all my courses are organized for both high school and university. All the videos are organized by chapter. Also, if you have any questions, you can hit me up. My contact details are also on the website. Enjoy your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.